Hello ladies and gentlemen, guys and ghouls, my name's Kevin and welcome to my channel, The Art of Horror. Today I will be discussing American Horror Story Apocalypse, Season 8, Episode 1, The End. So forewarning, there will be spoilers ahead from now on. The sense of scale of a nuclear war that they managed to create at the beginning of this episode had my jaw not just dropping, but falling off. The way they created the panic of a city about to be destroyed by a nuclear war really impressed me and drew me in right from the start, as did all the characters that we have met so far. And kudos to the casting director for being able to convince Joan Collins to be on such a cool show. It's also really great to see Sarah Paulson not playing the victim, but very much the antagonist this time, playing the role of Miss Wilhelmina Venable. It's interesting to see, even at this early stage, that she doesn't seem to be taking the cooperative's beliefs that seriously for herself. The rules seem to apply to everyone else but her. It's also very interesting to see the dynamic that is set up at the cooperative's Outpost 3 between the purples, the elites, the greys, who are the workers, and also the security. I'm loving that costume design, especially the protective suits that are obviously based on the plague doctors of the past. They don't seem very practical, but they do look really cool. We see in a very near future a nuclear war that destroys the world, starting a nuclear winter. And thanks to a very rich family and their private plane, Coco St. Pierre Vanderbilt escapes with her assistant Mallory and her hairdresser, Mr. Gallant, played by Evan Peters, and his grandmother Evie, played by the amazing Joan Collins. We're also introduced to an organisation called the Cooperative. It's been set up by the world's elite, apparently the smartest and brightest minds the world has to offer. Part of the Cooperative's modus operandi is to select young people to survive the apocalypse, based on how perfect their genetic makeup is. We see them sent to an underground base called Outpost 3, which is run by Mrs. Wilhelmina Venable, played by Sarah Paulson. It soon becomes extremely obvious there are very strict rules for living at Outpost 3, and extremely severe punishments, as we see a young couple executed on the grounds as Timothy and Emily arrive to Outpost 3. They are given cubes of the most basic form of food to nourish themselves each day, and they are very strictly rationed. And there is only ever one song playing on the radio, which is Calling Occupants, I actually like that song a lot, by the Carpenters, a song which happens to be about alien contact. This begs the question and had me wondering for the whole episode, is there going to be some sort of alien connection, which we have seen once before in Asylum. So we already have a couple of mysteries this episode. The first one being, was it stew in the stew? If it was stew in the stew, does that mean that they faked the irradiation purely to eat some meat instead of the boring food cubes that they've been given? As it becomes obvious at the end, Sarah Paulson's character of Mrs. Venable obviously doesn't think the rules apply to her. So did they just fake the high radiation levels so they could execute this man and eat him and make stew? The other mystery, which pops up at the end, shows a young man from the cooperative arrive to Outpost 3 who says he has arrived to make the decision, which is purely up to him, who will be saved from Outpost 3 and taken back with him to survive, as they are running out of food fast. Upon his arrival, he asks Kathy Bates's character, Ms. Miriam Mead, head of Outpost 3 security, to take care of his horses. She leads them to a cliff where both animals are obviously covered in tumours and radiation burns, are put out of their misery. Both animals, after being shot, fall off of a cliff. And this is where the mystery deepens. At the base of the cliff where the horses' bodies lay, we see some bushes rustle, and one of the horses' bodies is dragged into the bush. Obviously food for something. As they've been at the outpost for 18 months, I'm not sure that's long enough for mutants to be created, but who knows. It's obviously something extremely strong, as it's able to pull a horse's carcass like it was almost nothing into the bush. And it's obviously surviving the nuclear winter. So the obvious theory here is it's either aliens or it's mutants of some sort. Either way, there's monsters roaming the countryside now. which really spices this show up for me as well, much like a nice stew. So there we have it. That's the first episode in a nutshell, and I can't wait for the second episode. I'm sure it's going to open up even more cans of worms. Do you guys have any theories on who ended up in the stew? Or what's living outside in the wilderness? Also, who do you think Michael Langdon, the guy from The Cooperative, played by Cody Fern, who's a Western Australian actor, is going to take back with him? Something tells me they're not all going to make it. At this stage, I would also like to quickly say an amazing thank you to the response that I had over the Castle Rock videos. You guys are incredible. I was just making a video about thanking people for 300 subscribers, and I looked up and now it's on 400 subscribers, which absolutely blew my mind, as it took me just over a year to gain my first 100 subscribers. So for all of you new subscribers, I welcome you to the channel, and I thank you all so much for giving me this chance and opportunity to entertain you. And to all my old subscribers, thank you so much for supporting me up to this point. I appreciate it so much. And a lot of you I now consider good friends. The picture I drew today is obviously of Twisty the Clown. He is my favourite American Horror Story character so far. I did not copy this picture from anything, it's all from my own imagination and drawn from memory. So please don't sweat me on any of the details if I haven't got them quite correct. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit that like button. If you're new to my channel and you'd like to see more videos like this from me, please feel free to subscribe. You can hit me up on Facebook, I'm on there as The Art of Horror. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Kevin for The Art of Horror. Until next time, goodbye from me.